Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another one of our weekly Toilet-Bound Hanako discussion videos, and today we are here to talk all about episode 5, The Confession Tree. But before we get into things proper, I do have to give a big thank you to those of you who shared last week's video over on Twitter. At Mr. A4769, at KJ Creed, at V Dorogu, at Sirius9752, at Morgan Boyer Poet, at FireOtaku845, and at Clear Chicken. Thanks so much for sharing last week's video over on Twitter, you guys, and if you too would like to have your name shouted out in next week's Toilet-Bound Hanako discussion video, then be sure to share this video around on the internet, and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I will be sure to shout your name out in next week's video. Okay, so getting into the video proper, I gotta say, this week we have a couple things that we really gotta talk about for sure. We gotta talk about Nene catching them feels. We gotta talk about the Confession Tree, which, despite the title of the episode, not very important. And we gotta talk about Teru Minamoto's reappearance or reintroduction. Let's go ahead and talk about Nene catching them feels because it leads nicely into the discussion of the Confession Tree, which is an interesting scene, but not quite as significant as you might think it is. It takes up the first half of the episode, but it's not like the biggest deal. Regardless, let's go ahead and talk about Nene catching feels. The kiss from last week definitely rattled our girl in a way I don't think she was prepared for, because that was her first kiss. So I didn't know that. I mean, I guess I should have assumed that. So, because at first I'm like, why are you freaking out? And then I was like, oh, okay, that's a significantly bigger deal. Mind you, he kissed your cheek. Like, it's not like he kissed you on the lips out of nowhere. Like, that would have been, like, I could see that being like, what just happened? But, like, a kiss on the cheek, especially your first kiss, that's still a big deal. So I'm not faulting our girl. I'm just saying, like, I was surprised, right? I was like, why is she freaking out so hard? And she kept doing the, like, no, that's ridiculous. Everything's fine. I'm fine. It's all fine. We're fine. Meanwhile, you're like, she is losing it. She is catching them feels like you wouldn't believe. And I don't know. I thought it was legitimately cute seeing Nene like freak out, right? Because she kept saying, like, he's not my type, he's so not my type, yada yada throughout the whole episode. And Nene, I'm just gonna be real with you. Your type is either like just impossible to find, this like super handsome dude who's super chivalrous and kind and he loves puppies. Like, no, that guy doesn't exist. So I hate to burst the bubble, but Hanako, as far as compatibility, you two match. Like, I know that she keeps saying, like, he's not my type, he's not my type. He is. Like, I know you think that he's not. He may not be your ideal type, but you two match really well. So, just saying. You guys would be like 100% on Tinder or whatever the hell matching dating apps people use these days. Regardless, Nene seems intent to play coy and play like she ain't interested, but all I could think of the entire time was that song from Hercules, just like, who you think you kidding? He's the earth and heaven to you. Like, tell me you weren't thinking, like, girl, don't be proud, it's okay, you're in love. Like, the whole time I'm like, this is so cute. I catch myself sometimes realizing how cute, like, the Hanako-Nene dynamic is. Like, they're adorable. Those two really do match each other really well. And it's kind of funny to see Nene so, like, adversely against, like, catching them feels. Like, it's goofy in a way that I'm just not expecting. And it's, like, at the same time, very, like, first relationship, you know what I mean? Where you're like, should I tell him? Should I not tell him? Blah, blah, blah. Like, it flashed me right back to having those conversations with friends of mine where, like, people will come up like, I think he likes me. I don't know if, like, what I should say. Like, do I wait for him to say something? Should I say something? Like, should I hint at it? What do I do? I don't know. Meanwhile, I'm just sitting there with, like, a cup of tea like, this is adorable, and the tea is particularly good. That's all I'm thinking. I was like, oh, man, I can't wait to see the internet's reaction to this dynamic between these two. And this leads us nicely into talking about the Confession Tree, since it's in this moment of Nene confessing to Aoi her feelings that Aoi points out, like, well, you should just go see if he'll ask you to hang out at the confession tree. And of course, Nene's like, what the hell is that? Because Nene apparently, despite having the most interactions with these 7 wonders and these these supernatural elements in her school, she is totally oblivious to most of them. Which she kind of has to be. She's the audience surrogate, you know, so she kind of has to be unaware of most of these things. That way the audience can be told what they are at the same time that Nene is being told what they are. And Aoi, sometimes I wonder if Aoi, like, I know it's probably the green-haired girl, but I almost question if Aoi's the one doing that, like, radio thing. Cause trying to push this agenda on what the apparitions are, because like sometimes she, like the way she speaks about these things, she's like too learned, she's too knowledgeable, and I can't help but be like, are you the one spreading the rumors? It's got to be the green-haired chick, just because of what they've been setting up. But like that'd be a twist and a half if it was Aoi, just because there's this one shot where Aoi's like explaining something later on, talk about the 4 p.m. library, where Aoi gets like a little sinister. Like, not so much sinister, but it's just the way that they drew her in that scene. It's like, hey, now listen. Like, she was almost having fun, you know? And, like, I get it. She's probably trying to scare Nene because she knows that stuff kind of freaks Nene out. But at the same time, I was like, do you know more than you know? Like, I feel like I'm reaching. But, like, that would be a crazy twist if if Aoi was somehow, like, involved in all this. That'd be kind of cool. But like I was saying, Aoi tells Nene, like, yeah, confession tree, blah, blah, blah. Basically, you confess your feelings to somebody under the tree, and you two end up getting into a relationship if you do. And as this is happening, they look out the window, and y'all knew I had to talk about this. They look out the window, and it's these 2 characters. I wrote their names down, Yamabuki and Akane. And Akane, we see earlier in the episode trying to confess his feelings to Aoi, and Aoi's just not having any of it because apparently these 2 are childhood friends, Akane and Aoi. And Aoi's not really interested in getting into a relationship with Akane since, like, they're childhood friends, like, they've known each other for too long, to the point. If you know someone, like, for that long without feelings ever really getting involved, y'all are just friends. And so she's like, he's my childhood friend, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, oh, okay, so he's like persona non grata. Like that's not going anywhere. Poor guy, straight up friend zoned, even though that doesn't exist. If you're friends, just be friends with somebody. But anyway, Akane also isn't really great, an ideal partner, because that would make Aoi become Aoi, because this dude's last name is Aoi, so that wouldn't exactly work out anyway. But regardless, Akane's doing his best. He's out there practicing with Yamabuki under the tree, and Nene and Aoi catch this, and they're like, well, that's crazy. He must be, like, practicing, blah, blah, blah. And then the next day, Yamabuki and Akane are in a relationship. And listen, on one hand is funny. And I was like, that's funny. The idea that, like, oh, like, these 2, like, we're practicing a confession to a totally different character, and now they're together, and the whole class is like, wait, what? That's crazy. On the other hand, the way it's portrayed, I was like, is this offensive? I was like, I don't think it is, but I could imagine some people maybe being offended by it, because the show kind of implies, like, this is such a, like, out there concept that when Aoi is thinking about the fact that Akane is in a gay relationship, she's shown to be, like, thinking about it where she's, like, completely baffled, and there's planetoids around her, as if to imply that this idea is out of this world. Like, how crazy, 2 dudes in a relationship, what madness is this? I can maybe see some folks being like, oh, well, that's an offensive idea, that they would assume that 2 dudes can't be together unless some supernatural force pushes them together in some unnatural way. Like, I can see maybe some people being upset by that. I didn't really get that vibe. I just kind of, like, I mean, I kind of did, but at the same time, I was aware that it's like, they're playing it up for laughs. It's meant to be funny, not offensive. And honestly, like, maybe these 2 find out, like, they may actually have feelings that aren't, like, supernatural based. Like, maybe those 2 get together. I don't know. I'm not against it. Regardless, Hanako gets involved, not just because there's a gay relationship. I don't think Hanako cares about that kind of thing. But he's mostly just like, there's too many people getting into relationships. Something's weird. I gotta put a stop to this. So he goes and he gets Nene to meet him at the confession tree. And this is where you get the stay here until you stop crying scene. This scene cements the ship for me, whether or not you ship it or not. It cements these two as one of the more interesting relationships, and I don't mean like romantic, I just mean like a relationship, although you could see it that way as well, and I kind of do. But it just cements these two as one of the more interesting relationships of the season, because Nene really was like convinced that Hanako was about to confess his feelings. And I'm not even gonna get into like the tree thing, because basically like, yeah, they take down the tree. The tree looks like a gender bent version of the tree from Pocahontas, and they take it down. It's not a big deal. I'm not even gonna mention the tree, even though again it's the episode title. The tree is so not important that I'm not even gonna address it anymore. I just want to talk about this scene because honestly, I was kind of mad at Hanako. Like literally when this scene happened, I just like my shoulders slumped and I looked at the screen. I'm like, you colossal jackass. Like you knew that you on some level you had to know that you were playing with Nene's feelings. And this is when I realized how attached to these characters I was, because I was like, you knew better, my boy. Like you're like I said in a previous video, you are my Animu ghost nephew. I'm only getting upset with you because I'm disappointed in your actions towards Nene, because she don't deserve that. She's a good girl, and she don't deserve you playing with her emotions. Like I was getting heated. Like I was genuinely like, why would you do that? Why are you playing with her feelings? And when Nene cried, I was like, damn, like she actually genuinely is like embarrassed by this whole thing. Rightfully, I would be too. Like if I genuinely thought somebody was about to, like if I was in Nene's shoes, I would be upset. I would get emotional because I'd be like, why are you playing with my emotions like that? Like why, like screw you. Like, and when she leaves and Hanako like reaches out and he takes off the hat and Nene says that it's the first time that she really felt like connected to him. Like it's the first time that she really felt like she was getting to know him as a friend, like genuinely, and just as somebody in her life. Like that moment was like, whoa. And it's starting to cement why everybody does the laughs in manga comments, which are totally not getting on my nerves. Why would that be a thing? But I get it now. Because it's like, yeah, this show just nails its characters. It nails its character writing. Like, I'm so impressed with this scene. I kind of wanted Hanako to admit, like, maybe I have some feelings for you, yeah. Like, and Nene can be like, okay, well, I don't know what my feelings are for you just yet. I know that I was excited at the idea of you confessing, but I don't know if that's me excited that you were confessing to me because it was you, or if I was excited for you confessing to me because it was a confession. Like, I think we're still working on that aspect, right? Like, we're still working on Nene sorting out her own feelings. I don't know if she necessarily has feelings for Hanako yet. I do feel like Hanako has feelings for Nene, just based off what we've seen in this episode. He's just, he's a little immature. He's not sure really how to work those emotions out. And I didn't even get to talk about the Teru and Teru Minamoto scene, his reintroduction, so I'm going to quickly go over that. Teru is reintroduced, and this is where we get confirmation that, yes, indeed, we've met Ko's brother before. It is the dude who Nene had a crush on previously, although she does admit, like, oh, he's handsome, he's a nice guy, blah, blah. The only reason she had a crush on him is because he was her quote-unquote type. And I think that there's more to Teru than Nene thinks, especially judging off the scene that he has with his brother Ko. And Ko, lo and behold, is the more laid-back one between the two, which I was not expecting. But Teru has this whole other side to him that is, like, scary. But at the same time, I don't sense anything necessarily sinister. He does make like a sinister face in the same way that Aoi makes a sinister face at one point in the episode, but I think that's just the art trying to convey that sort of like exorcist intent. Like he is willing to just take out Hanako right here, right now, if he so chooses. And I don't think, like I said, that it's coming from a place of being sinister and being cruel as much as it's just Teru doing what his family has always done, exorcising spirits, because that's what they do. And it's not necessarily to be mean to the spirits. As far as he's concerned, there is no such thing as a good spirit. They're all out there trying to cause harm And so he just feels like if I have to, I will take them out. So I don't necessarily think it's a sinister thing. I think it's just more, that's just how he was raised, which makes him all the more interesting if he's going to be playing some sort of antagonistic role, because the best kinds of antagonists are the ones that you can sort of sympathize with and understand why they do what they do, even if you don't agree. And in this case, I'm like, if you touch my Animu ghost nephew, I will dropkick you into next week. I like you, Teru, so don't make me do that, but I'm willing to do that. And I wish I had more time to get into this. Well, we'll likely talk about this more next week. But with Teru's reintroduction, plus the green-haired girl, plus the fact that she may have her own Hanako, which that's a whole other can of worms, plus the librarian, plus the 4 p.m. library thing, this show, its scope feels like it's just getting bigger and bigger, and because of that, things feel like they're getting darker and darker and more intense, and it just has me more and more curious about what the hell is gonna happen. But with that said, that is gonna be all of my thoughts on this week's episode, and I would say that this week's episode is like a warm cup of chai tea. It's got that kind of kick to it that you may not expect right away, but there's something about it, that spice to it, that just kind of adds something a little bit extra to your normal cup of tea. And yeah, if you missed the other videos, I'm using tea as rankings for episodes now. Gonna have to deal with it. And with that said, that is a wrap on today's video, so I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then go ahead and hit that like button, maybe even consider sharing the video around on the internet, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want to stick around and see more content from me. And if you do, be sure to click on that bell icon so that you'll know immediately when a new video of mine comes out, and if you want to go above and beyond, then consider checking out our Teespring store and grabbing yourself a mug, or checking out our Patreon page, which really helps support the channel. And speaking of our Patreon page, I want to give a big thank you to those of you who support the channel over on Patreon. Andrew W., Calvin A., Crowbar of Irony, Daniel G., Digger the Fox, Emily, Ionos, Urza, Ginkotaku, Godzilla Fan, No For Nothing, Maria Teresa, Marshall B., Mirth Mouser, Cell, Shadow Creative, Stephen G., Sakochi, Tristan G., and Veridin. A huge thank you to all of you who support this channel over on Patreon, and if you too would like to join the T Squadron, then be sure to check out the link in the description to check out our Patreon page and get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord for as little as $1 a month. And with all that said, I want to once again thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have an awesome day, and if you are feeling stressed out today, then you go have yourself a warm cup of tea, and I will talk to you all again real soon.